So we've seen that I have a special affinity for Boba Fett because I accidentally created the character before he came out in the movie. And we've seen that 11 years ago, I owned 4,000 Star Wars figures, and believe me, that number's gotten higher since. But what was the root cause of that? I want to say it was about 1979-ish. I would have been 9 years old. I'd already seen the Star Wars Holiday Special. I remember seeing the first part of the Holiday Special at home at my parents' house, and then I saw the remainder of the Star Wars Holiday Special at my grandmother's house a few blocks over. So at some commercial break, hopefully the second one, because it's about twice as long as the first one, we drove from one house to the other, and I saw the rest of it. So I would have been at my grandmother's house, my paternal grandmother's house in Muscle Shoals, when I saw the Star Wars Holiday Special cartoon, now known as The Story of the Faithful Wookiee, which for many years I just called 3241.
Starlog 3241.
So I had seen this character who at first seems like a friend and faithful ally, but then turns out to be Darth Vader's right-hand man. And apparently I didn't catch the name very well in the special, because flash forward to another day at my paternal grandparents' house. I'm sitting on the big fold-out bed. I'm watching Saturday morning cartoons, and I see an ad for a new mail-away Star Wars figure.
And now Boba Fett, Star Wars villain with his laser rifle. Offer ends May 31st.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money to get him. You just have to mail away the proofs of purchase, right? So, wow. I jump off of the hide-a-bed. I go into the kitchen. I head for the telephone table. Now, I've talked about telephone tables in previous videos. Here's the funny thing. For that video, I just used a graphic that I'd found online. Come to find out, recently, I was actually shooting another video for this Toyaholic video series, and my phone rang right in the middle of a take. Highly phobic. And it was my niece. And she's asking me, do I want either of these two rotary telephones that someone had given her? She has no need for them. So as we're talking about phones, somehow phone tables got brought up, and she's like, oh, I have one. Yeah, the one she has was the one that belonged to my grandmother. Now she's reupholstered the seat. It used to be this like wine red color, kind of had that corduroy-like ribbing to it. But anyway, that is the very one that was in my grandmother's house in 1979. Now, I'm a little kid, bear this in mind. And I guess I either hadn't ever seen the name written, I'd only heard it spoken, or if it was in the commercial, I just failed to notice.
For many Star Wars action figures.
But I clearly remember in the phone call to my mom pronouncing it Boba Fett with a V. So, yeah, a little chagrined there when I later found out it was Boba with a B. But a few years later, I think like 1983, the Lando Calrissian novels came out. There was a character in there named Bassi Boba with an H on the end, V-O-B-A-H. So that was a little bit vindicating, or vindicating. The funny thing there is, because this story takes place at my paternal grandmother's house, she would often confuse her B's and V's. She would say to put the jar of Vaseline into the bassinet, or she would call Boonville, Mississippi, Boonville, Mississippi. And when I married my current wife, Debbie, occasionally she does something similar, where she reverses B and V sounds. So that might have factored into me thinking his name was Boba Fett. And then, the tragedy, my mom's reaction. Now, let me preface this. Mom had a thing for dolls, Madame Alexander dolls, Gone with the Wind dolls, etc. Neither of my older sisters really cared about dolls. So it wasn't until me and these little 4-inch action figures came out that anyone carried on her gene of collecting the little tiny human beings, you know? So we have that in common. which makes this next statement by her all the more mystifying. But let me also say that in the 70s, a lot was going on family-wise. My parents had gone through a divorce and then a reconciliation, and just things were tense. It's early on a Saturday morning, and I call her out of the blue saying there's another Star Wars figure. Didn't matter that he was practically free. Her gut reaction early in the morning was, "Don't you think you have enough Star Wars figures?" Now bear in mind, this was at a point in history where there were only 20 Star Wars figures made. So my collection numbered about 20. And she thought 21 was just pushing it too far. So, if you ever wonder, gee, what makes this guy want 4,000 action figures by the year 2010? Probably a little bit of rebellion against that one statement. Don't you think you have enough Star Wars figures? I don't know, don't you think you have enough Blue Willow plates? I'm calm. I'm responsible for my own choices. But if there's any one moment that I can trace back to being a Toyaholic, it's probably that one. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, but eventually we were attempting to do the mail away to get the Boba Fett. There's another story there.